Hey everybody, good morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Ann, and disembodied and spooky Wendy, as well as her undead servitors, Justin and John. Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, good morning, it's a morning. It's Kitty Day, yeah, Kitty badly needs some good warm neutrals, or cold neutrals. He needs something. So I've noticed this like over the years. It's been a real thing with me, but I don't feel right about a color composition until I've got some earth tones into it. Especially when you're doing gray fur, it can look very monochrome to have all black, white, and gray be your neutrals. So I find it very valuable in doing a color scheme like this to add in at least a bit of warm dark brown somewhere. I always call them helper colors. The warm dark browns, they don't clash with anything. Warm dark browns, Inara. The gold is optional, but seriously, if you've got a color scheme like this, like adding brown just helps a crap ton. And yeah, gold can be very brown, so you could take it that way. The gold on its own, though, wouldn't necessarily help with this. It's just for some reason, the dark browns really ground a model. So I've got some black and brown here. Now he's muted, so I want to bring my black and brown up probably with a muted color. I probably will mix in some shield. And then I also, if I can find the color, as I attempt to find like my driftwood brown. Oh, it's hiding. There it is. I'm doing a PDF on this very thing for the Patreon. Should be finished hopefully today. Yeah, so for muted color schemes, if I need that dark brown, my colors that I go to all the time are these, usually mixed into a dark brown for grounding. And these are pretty muted. The driftwood does shift toward yellow, but when you're just using it as a highlight, you really don't get that. Like that color doesn't really enter the equation very much. It is kinda. But like I said, like when you're using it as a small highlight, it doesn't actually bring that yellow into the equation. I will be doing a little bit of gold on this model, but I want to get these other colors in first. I don't want to do silver because his fur is already gray, and I'm probably going to make his eyes gold or yellow orange, and so I don't want to going silver would just totally compound our problem here. So yeah, driftwood, I find it is a yellow brown. I wouldn't call it, like, I guess you could use it, but if you look at it, it's very grayed. Like if you were using this to do NMM gold, it would very much carry over. It would feel more like a brass or a bronze. It wouldn't really feel like a gold unless you really brought up the highlights yellow. Gold is a very, very yellow metal. Now, if everything was muted, maybe you could get away with it. I mean, James Gurney does. Like, if you used this as your yellow in a color scheme, maybe we'll have to do that someday. This would work as a yellow in a color scheme. All of your yellow would be very, very muted. And to get, like, any... you'd have to add, like, white to it in order to bring it up to closer to yellow. But, yeah. You could use it that way. You're right, Inara. If you were doing, say, a limited palette and you wanted that to be your yellow, it would mean that you had a very cold palette is what it means, because you probably should go with a colder red then, and everything would have to be very muted to make it go together if you were rocking that way. All right, so let's get some hello everybody. Yeah, so if I'm a little out of it today, we'll see how my stomach was upset again last night, so maybe residual stress from the wedding, maybe something I ate, not sure, but we'll just go and see how I do. But I actually do have herbal tea today to help with that. Hello, everybody. And I'm just sick of like all the health issues with me lately. I'm so happy to be back to a stable schedule, and I'm hoping that will help. All right, there we are. All right, kidda. So we're gonna start with some black and brown, but we'll put a drop of shield into it Although we don't have any really dark colors on this model yet, so going with something very dark like blackened makes good sense. The fur goes up fairly light, so, you know, having a dark color on the model does not hurt. Inara, I think that is something that every painter who's painted for a while, once you get to a certain level, you understand that you really don't need all of the colors you've got. Like when you were a younger painter, you did need them because maybe you weren't confident with mixing and you weren't understanding as much how things like work together. But I have certainly found through the years that I don't need as many colors as I used to have. Like pretty much I'm happy with my little drawer of colors here, and the only time I reach for something outside my drawer of colors is if I'm looking for a very specific thing. Like, for example, if I was doing a limited palette series, like I wanted to grab a blue, a red, and a yellow, and what my yellow was driftwood brown, and I had to look for a really unusual red to go with that, and a really unusual blue, then I would definitely reach into some of the more obscure colors in my cabinet. Like that's a case where when you're doing a limited palette and you're really looking for stuff that goes together and that gives you a wide range of possibilities. And it, just so you guys wonder, if you're wondering what I'm talking about with limited palette, it's just mixing everything from a series of 3 colors plus black and white, and your black doesn't have to be a true black and your white doesn't have to be a true white. So well, I mean, the best way, as far as using any color you're not used to, and by the way, I need to clean off my pokey tool, so I went to use it and it was caked with gunk, and so I'm gonna clean off my pokey tool while we talk. I mean, the best way to learn how to use color is just to break down what it is via the color wheel. I mean, when it comes down to it, everything is an X, a Y, or a Z, right? Nothing is outside of the bounds of generalization. I mean, it's like grave gloom, you know. What is it? It's a green, and it's a muted green. So, and it's a yellowy, warm muted green. So once you've got that, you can kind of work it a little bit better. Like I did yesterday, making it into a skin tone that where normally I would use an olive green. But I think in many cases, I see painters go back toward very simplistic, like going more toward primaries or pures or clears to just mix the things that they want. And the only time I reach for things, you know, that aren't close to kind of good mixing colors is if it's a muted color that is a pain in the butt to mix. And there are plenty of those. When I reached for pale skin yesterday, instead of just reaching for like a yellow, red, and white, right? There are colors that have just a hint of certain pigments in them. And that's very hard to mix with bottles of paint when you only need a hint of something. You can do it on a wet palette. But even then, if you need a lot of that color, or you need to thin it down, which I did yesterday, then it gets a little bit more persnickety. There we go. Now we have a shiny pokey tool again. Yeah, like I said, when I'm doing something like limited palette, then I definitely am reaching for more colors, especially trying to use colors maybe I haven't used a lot. It is a way to break out of your color rut. So for example, if I was doing a limited palette series and I wanted a yellow and a red and a blue, I would probably with this reach for a very muted red. I might reach for Ergothoa red. I might reach for Asmodeus, although it'd be well, yeah, you could go Asmodeus with this. What you're trying with limited palette is you got to keep in mind how bright or how saturated you're going to be able to push things. And you don't want too much, like you can always darken something down, especially if you went with like a dark blue here. So say we went with Storm Chaser, and that was our red, yellow, blue. And then we had a black or an off black, and I probably here would grab like brown liner or walnut, because then I could mix a darker brown with my driftwood and my red. And you know, you've got to kind of keep in mind like how that limits you, right? Because you don't have a true yellow. So there's going to be a point where you can't mix a truly warm brown, for example, because you've got no yellow to do it with, really. You've only got this. And this will limit, like your green is going to be very, very olivey and like drab. Like, so your greens are not going to, you're not going to be able to hit a real green. Things like that. So yeah. So if you ever feel inclined to try it, it's really cool to do as an exercise. You learn a lot about color mixing. And I used to love to do it. I used to have a lot of fun with limited palette. I haven't done it in a while, but all right. So now we've got a nice clear pokey tool to clear out our bottle with. Storm Chaser's a great blue. I think if you run out of it, because I don't think it's actually in production, is it? Or is it in a fast palette? Do you know, Quindy? Because it's got a limited number on it. I feel like it's got some green and brown in it. If I was going to make this color, that's the way I'd look to start with. It's in a fast palette? Okay, good. I assume with a different number. High C's. Okay, good. So you can still get it. Good, good, good. That's excellent. Alrighty, let's get some brown going on with this kitty. Oh, and for those of you who are not on my Patreon, here, let's show you the start. I showed people how I was setting up this base. And in the base, we have a tiny undead kitty. And we've got a nice craggy tombstone. And then the kitty goes up on the top part here. I don't want to take kitty off of the base, but here, I'll hold him up so you can kind of see the diorama as it will be. And that's the way we're going. And no, Ritter Lake is much more mixable because Ritter Lake has a huge front load of blue in it. So it really, if you add white to Ritter Lake, you get a very intense blue. So Ritter Lake is a lot more versatile as a limited palette color. Much more versatile. Storm Chaser is muted, like I said, with other colors. But yeah, when you add white to it, you are going to get a fairly bright color still. Yep, yep. It is a cotton color from a few years back, but apparently they reissued it, which is good because it's a very popular color. It's really versatile, as Inara was talking about. All right, I like versatile colors, especially colors that are like you can always mute a color, but you can't make it more intense without adding something like a clear bright. All right, so we're going to start with 4 drops of black and brown. And I'm actually going to lighten it just a little bit. I think I'm going to add 1 drop of shield. I can always shade it with a liner if I need to take it down darker. Blook. All right, let's mix this baby up. I wanted the Necromancer to be summoning an undead minion. And I always love the Skeletal Kitty. This is a Dark Sword model, by the way. Originally produced with the Jennifer Haley miniature. Now produced in a Skeletal Kitty pack, also. Yeah, that's not one I had a hand in at RSO, but I'm not surprised they're doing more metallics because, like I said, that was something that I kind of kept away from, and so there's a lot of potential in colored metallics that we don't have colors for, so. I'm not as into the colored metallics myself, and that definitely reflected itself in the paint line. I was more for utility. But yeah, color metallics have their place here and there, especially if you paint sci-fi. Then there's all sorts of options. Lurk away, Kodiak, lurk away. Yeah, it's possible. So that lightened up the black and brown just a little bit. So let's start putting that on here. Oh, kitty. So kitty is very, very kind of like grays, all grayed out colors. Now when we add in this brown though, we have kind of, what this does, it kind of gives us a frame of reference for kitty. So now not everything is gray. Now there's this brown color to kind of ground the model. And we're gonna put it on the belt. Yes, if you want a purple skin tone for vampires, the Vampiric Skin Triad is your baby. I was amused to see on the concept art that Quindy sent me that the vampire we started yesterday actually does have a greenish skin tone in the concept art. So, but he also has red armor, which I'm not going to do. So, in one way we are with him, and in one way we are against him. All right, that's metallic. Those are little bracers down on his little paulets. So we will make these leather as well. I feel like that NMM and True Metallics kind of go back and forth in favor as far as what's interesting or what's in vogue in our hobby. And certainly having like the color shift stuff out and everything, that is that shifted. I can totally believe that that shifted people more toward looking at metallics and their derivatives. But it also was like, you'll see like just NMM everywhere, and then you'll see like somebody will do something really, really nice with metallics, and then there'll be a renewed interest in metallic colors and what you can do with them for a while. So there's the little strings that are stringing the feathers and the charms from his staff. But yeah, then there's people like myself who really will use either, and which one we use just entirely depends on the model. Now here, I'm not going to try to preserve the strings. The strings I'll go and highlight in whatever color later, probably just a lighter beige, probably driftwood. I want to get the staff in. I do want to also put his eyes in, so I think I'll paint the staff and then I'll get his eye color mixed up. I think I do want a yellow-orange for his eyes. Yeah, I'm not, the color metallics, I don't like to use them on minis either. Quindy, the only time I've used them is on dragons, because I feel like they do actually add something to dragon scales, and I've always, when I have used them on dragons, I start with basic non-metallic colors, and then I actually end up building up to metallics on the edges of scales. It can be a cool effect. But otherwise, I'm not a big fan of colored metallics on models. I feel, well, as you all know, I don't use metallics on small stuff unless it's very, very big and clunky armor, just because I feel it doesn't work quite as well as NMM for this scale. But everybody has got their own opinions, and there are people who paint beautiful stuff at this scale with metallics. So do not let my opinion color your own take on it. You should always paint what you feel. feel like I like metallics a lot more when they're shaded and highlighted, and like sometimes I feel like color shift metallics are just like kind of put on and nothing is done with them, and I feel like that's a shame because you can do cool effects with them. Alright, so we've got some browns on here now, and this will help our kit. One, it will be immediately evident then that the fur really is meant to be gray. And I'm thinking about adding some touches of brown on Kitty's ears. But I'm not sure I want to. I did add some brown to the initial gray. So he is not a flat gray kitty, but yeah, it's all what works for you. Like, it's all what works for your style. It's like any art. Anybody who tells you you're not doing it right, just ignore them. They do not know. Alright, so we've got our base dark brown on the belt, the bracers on his paws, and the staff. Oh, I forgot the arm bracers. I'm gonna just, this could be cloth, but I think I'm gonna give him a little bit more leather. Because I don't really have an accent color here. And when it comes down to it, these really do look like they could be sleeves, but they could also be bracers. So I'm going to just paint them as bracers. A lot of the time, with armor plates, you can paint it as like leather over, like boiled leather plates, or you can paint it as metal. And a lot of the time with cloth, if there's not too much folds in it, you can paint it as leather if you want to. It won't translate, Polly. Whenever you try to do a very small area like that in a color, it's not going to work unless I make it really bright, and that's absolutely not in character for my necromancer. So I will probably, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll put a tiny touch of skin tone on it, but right now it's just dark. But this is so small that if you put like a light pink on here, it just looks white. Like that's something that the larger an area a color covers, the brighter that color will look, no matter how muted it is. You can take a really like a gray with just a little bit of green in it, throw it on a big wall, and it looks really green. But conversely, when you try to paint something very small, you need to make the color really bright for it to show up. And that can create a problem because, you know, you don't always want that. It's not always in character for the model. So, yeah, that's good to know, Inara. I felt like he needed a darker nose anyway. I could try using something like Rosy Shadow, but I feel like it's still not going to quite read, but we'll try it. We'll put it on there. I want to make the nose a little larger if I'm going to do this. Right, but that again is going to be a problem, right? Because it's not going to show up. Like the color won't show up when you're looking at the mini. So put brown down, make his nose a tiny bit bigger. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit of the skin tone. So like, and see, it just kind of washes out and you don't get the color at all. So I'm going to put, I'm going to put a little bit of brown around the outside. Darken it down, darken down that edge. But this is what happens when you have very tiny touches of color. And of course, when you get very close to the model, or if you're taking a photograph of the model, then the color will show up when you blow it up really big on your screen. Of course, you also see all the other faults in your miniature there. So we've got a little hint of color. When you go in close on the model, you will see it, but otherwise you're not going to see it. It's just a thing about the scale that we use. There's a reason why brighter colors were popular for a very long time in miniature painting, and especially for 20A. It's for gaming models, and it's not just that people love bright colors, although that does tend to be true. But in a small, on a gaming model, when you try to go subtle, it tends to just kind of disappear. It is the way of the world. The way we see color. All right, let's grab some Sunrise Orange and Lantern Yellow. I just switched out a new bottle of Lantern Yellow because I finally killed my old one. I'm going to add some water to my puddle of rosy shadow, because if you don't, the paint's going to dry in the palette and it's going to be harder to get out. So even though I'm already done with the color, I'm going to add water to it and mix it up, because the water is going to make the paint come out of the palette easier. So do remember that. If you just squeeze a little bit of something out onto your well palette just to kind of get a dab of it, but you are, if you don't add water to it, it's going to be harder to get it out of your palette. Okay. Crumblies. Probably need to shake this better, since it has been sitting around for a while. And on top of everything, I'm sneezing today. Like, stuff in the air, stuff in my guts. It's just one of those days. Now, I will go bright on the eyes because I want them to show up. And I'm actually going to put my Lantern Yellow and my Sunrise Orange in two different wells. Yeah, it's long been the ruler. It was one of the first apps, I think, and still, I don't use them, but still seems to be the best as far as people's opinion. Lady, glad you like it. So I'm going to put orange down first, and I'm going to go in with yellow, because I do want the eyes to look. Yeah, it's been around for a while, so they've had time to put a lot of brands on there, lady. Like, it was around back when, gosh, years before I quit Reaper, so it's been around for many years. Many, many years. All right, let's get this orange in here. And it won't, even though I've got a lot of muted colors on this model and that I've otherwise chosen muted colors, it won't matter that I choose a bright color for the eyes. Because, like I said, we want the eyes to really show up. So even if I'm putting really bright colors in the eyes, because they're so small, again, the color isn't going to show up as much as you might think. So it's not going to overpower the model's color scheme to put a bright color in the eyes. It will be fine. It will light up his eyes, and they will definitely, like, show up. I think we all have bought duplicate bottles over the years. It's a thing. You're like, ooh, do I have one of that color? And then you find out, yes, actually, when I went on this shopping spree back in X, I did buy this color. So in other news, I've been playing so much Overwatch 2 that my thumb hurts, and so I'm taking a break to paint tonight because I've caused myself to have a video game injury. It's very silly. It's so silly. And yet I think about all those kids who play professionally, You know, I'm like, and when they like say suffering from a hand injury, you know, at first you want to lol because they're video gamers, but then you actually, you know, experience having a hand injury because you play too much computer games, and you're like, oh. Yeah, it makes sense, lady. Well, I've been playing too much of it, Beguiler, so yeah. The problem is Lucio. The problem is Lucio because I'm always jumping, and so my thumb, my thumb that goes on the space bar to jump gets very tired and very sore when I'm playing Lucio. Yeah, Overwatch 2 is fun. I mean, I really like the Battle Pass. I like working toward getting my really cool skins. There's a really cool Mercy skin at level 50, so I'm like very motivated, but I have to take a break and get my thumb up break. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I first got into my if I do too much on my phone, I'll also get problems. It's the only reason I have a hand brace. Like all these years of painting miniatures, guys, I never ever needed a hand brace except for like my being on my phone too much or doing video games. Like painting has never screwed up my hands. Yeah, it means that your tank, if your tank is bad, it definitely has an impact on the game, right, Gibson? So I haven't done. So I don't queue all roles because I feel like I would not be a good tank, especially with Orisa being so changed. I was a decent Orisa in the old days because she was simple, relatively. But now I feel like I have to play Diva or Sigma. Those are my other two tanks, and I know that I'm not. I don't even know how to play them as a single tank. So, well, at least not Diva. So yeah. So yeah, but I have to take a break. I have to take a break. David suggested I play, and I just make myself play Moira, who I hate playing, because I don't have to spacebar. And that, and I need to practice up on Soldier again, because I have very few DPS picks that I can really do. Although Sojourn feels really good to me, and I kind of want to play her, but again, I feel like as a DPS, I would just handicap my team. Whereas as a support, I can almost carry my team because I've just been playing support for so long. Like I got dumped into a random game yesterday that the team I got dumped onto was losing. And we won it after I got added. Even though they'd lost 2.5 points. So yeah. I feel like I'm good at support, and supports are needed, so. But yes, I probably need to broaden my my reach. Oh, nice, Korniko. Paw-shaped cushion pads. It is cute. That is really cute, and everybody thinks your cats play video games now. All right, so I'm going to put a yellow highlight in the middle of the orange. It's going to take down that orange appearance a bit. So a little less orange, a little more yellow. I want to put pupils in, but I want to make sure I've got the color I want. If I just went yellow over the white, by the way, guys, I would it would wash out, and that's why I'm doing the orange first. I really wanted to do a yellow-orange, so. The orange gives us a nice bright color to work from. Yeah, Diva's a very aggressive tank now. Very, very aggressive. Hyper aggressive. And that's not really my style. So, like, it's hard to, I feel like it would be hard to get used to. And it's a shame because I love my Diva skin. And I would love to play her more. But yeah, I don't know. I just need to probably put in some practice games versus AI to build my own confidence. It's not like I play anything other than quick play right now. I'm not feeling like I really want to do competitive right now. Yeah. Yeah, Twitch is silly. Yeah, if you've got a good diva on your team, you've got a leg up, that's for sure. She's really potent right now. But yeah. Yeah, I like Overwatch. I'm sad that I can't play tonight and I have to rest my thumb. If I get desperate enough, then I'll do a day, then I might play Moira. Usually my supports are Lucio, Mercy, and Bap. Alright, let's get some. I want some walnut in here so I can do some touch-ups on my lining. So I'm going to pop some walnut into my palette real quick, guys. It never hurts. Whenever you're painting, like, I find it's just useful to have your liner color, like a liner color, mixed up. For inevitably when you kind of like paint over your lines and you need to adjust. Twitch is just silly. I'm just going to believe that Twitch is silly. That's my conviction. So I need this also to put in my pupils. My walnut is very kind of gloopy right now. It does not want to come out very well. I tend to use walnut for pupils rather than black. This just goes back to my not liking to use black on models very much. I'd rather use something that's dark and will show up as black, but that isn't as dead as black is. And walnut is more like a warm black anyway. Plus you can thin walnut down just like black and get it, and it stays really high coverage, which is really nice. But yeah, since I probably have to avoid Overwatch tonight, I'm going to be painting instead. I do have exciting things to paint, so this is not a bad thing. All right, so eyeballs coming up from the bottom because you want to stop your brush with the eyelid. If you stop your brush up against the eyelid, then you're going to pretty much be able to put down the color you want. Not a lot. Went a little high. I'm also having the allergy issues I had yesterday, so my eyes are tearing up, which is the worst time in the world to try to do an eyeball. Now I have to make him. This eye is looking a little bit that way, like the way that his head is shaped. That eye, because his head is on a slant, his eyes are going to look like they're looking back. So even though I centered the pupil there, when I turn it to face on, the eye looks like it's looking that way. So in order to make the model be consistent, I'm actually going to move my pupil to the center here so that it looks like he's looking that way. Otherwise, it'll look like he's wall-eyed. I like that eye a little better. I'm going to shrink the pupil on this one. The way to shrink a pupil Yeah, I agree with you, Quindy. So the way to correct that eyeball is that we're going to have to go in with white first. Since we have a pupil in walnut brown, that's very big and dark. And our yellow and orange certainly aren't going to cover over that without help. So instead, since our white, the eyeball was painted in white in the first place to get the yellow and orange to stand up, we're going to go in with white and adjust that pupil and then put the orange yellow over the top. Yeah, I agree with that, Quindy. Yeah, if mods got approval on it, but I already feel like when I'm trying to do my own stream and I don't really have a mod, it's already cumbersome for me to stop what I'm doing and address approvals like stuff like that. So I can see why not, because a lot of Twitch streamers are just streaming themselves and might not have a mod, little streamers, and it really is disruptive to have to stop and boot out a troll or, do that kind of link approval. So So what you may think is perfectionistic actually would not be for a smaller streamer. It's just, I guess, what I'm saying. It's nice when when I have Quindy, because Quindy takes care of all that stuff. But yeah, when I'm streaming on my own, I don't have that. So it would be better if they actually made it more easy to do. I feel like I'm always trying to, there we go. Got a little bit of the white down there. Going to shrink the pupil. I feel like this pupil also needs to get a little bit darker down more. So adjusting eyes is like, seems like it's pretty painful. But it really is just like anything else. Be methodical and don't stress about it. You can always correct it. There have been times where I've had to like paint in corrections on an eye like numerous times. So now I need to make this pupil bigger. Yeah, it would be nice if there were options for people. This is true. Yeah, I feel like my eyes are still not great. I feel like I need to maybe move this eye over instead. Maybe I need to block that out entirely. And this is one of those times when I'm just like, the eyes aren't working, so I'm just going to repaint them. I thought I would correct it that way, but then this eye isn't reading enough this way, so. But just don't sweat it. Like, just do it. Like, this is a thing. People get hung up on this because eyes are unpleasant when you're starting out. But just do it. Just get back in there and just correct it. And if you need to take a break so you don't get frustrated, take a break. Take a break, take a walk, come back to it, reset. Yeah, Quindy. Yeah, Twitch is twitchy. Like, Twitch is its own, like, half-arsed kind of thing. It's the thing we have, not the optimal thing. Like, you can see why all the other, like, social media platforms have, you know, gotten streaming services, because, like, Twitch is really kind of non-optimal. Obviously, they feel they can improve. And the streamers are, like, you know, going to some of those other platforms, so. Getting better. Maybe there was something in Bones 5 we're missing. All right, a little bit better. My pupil went a little low on the on this eye, so I'm going to correct that. So this is why you should practice painting details, is because as you practice painting, and you don't have to paint a bunch of eyeballs, although I do recommend the Faceless Horror by Reaper if you want to practice your eyeballs. It has lots and lots, dozens of eyeballs on it, of all different sizes. But painting details and getting practice painting details is what gives you the confidence and the fine motor control to touch up small things that you screw up that are important, like eyeballs. I think I'm all right. I'm going to use yellow in there instead. So now I've got his eyes and I like them, but I still want to touch up a little bit and bring in some yellow. Because the yellow was mostly in the middle and the pupil is mostly over it, I've lost a bunch of the yellow. And now I want to do a little white reflection in there for the eyes. You'll see if I screw up the pupils again when I do it. It happens. Yeah, the huge eyes on Chibi is let you practice like just painting the general features of eyes, but they don't really practice you, obviously, since they're so big, you're not practicing your fine motor. I don't feel like Chibi eyes are actually eyeball practice because they're just so large. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. All right, kiddo. Speaking of chibis, I should show you all what Chibi Amy's daughter made for me because it's cute. And it's a chibi. And what is it? It's a chibi Kiki. Look, guys, it's a chibi Kiki. Oh, I've got a very fingerprinty phone. Apologies for my dirty phone. But look, it's a chibi Kiki. Yes, so this is Chibi Amy's daughter who did our Chibi Kiri's face as well. Yes. So it is very cute. And David actually took it and made a small adjustment because Kiki is not as often looking at you as she is looking at something that she is chasing. So David made her focused on the ground in front of her instead, because she's always chasing a lure or a piece of grass or a something. So yeah. She's kind of, I don't know if she'd work for an emote. Maybe. I could replace Kiri with her or replace something else with her. Yeah, so David had to make her focused on the ground in front of her instead of focused on you, because that's more a Kiki thing. Her latest thing, yes, the tongue blop. Her latest thing, guys, is that our previous house owner had tried to start a vegetable garden on the back of our house, but it only gets like light. It only gets sunlight like late in the day, so it was totally a fail. Except now that we have stuff that's just coming up out of nowhere. So Kiki discovered potatoes, because apparently we had 2 species of potatoes, and one of them was unearthed just by water. And potatoes are actually kind of toxic when they're not cooked, so I had to rescue the potato. David rescued it, actually. And then she got in her head there were more potatoes, and so we've had to like watch like an eagle that particular patch of ground, and I've discovered 2 potatoes and rescued them before she got them, but oh my god, she wants them so bad. She's like, these are balls, except they are chewable balls with flavor. She's ridiculous. Yeah, he's not bad. His face is not bad. I still feel like that eye is just kind of meh. And I will sit and play with eyes on a figure to try to get them. Yeah, Forbidden Buried Treasure, best kind, right? So yeah, so now I have to watch for, like, I thought they were weeds and they turned out to be potato plants. So now every time something sprouts in that particular area of the garden, or of the back, there's this narrow strip of soil along the back of the house. The ground gives me food, except they're not food balls. I definitely don't want her eating those. Dogs are not equipped for eating raw potatoes. Their little tiny short intestines are not... there we go. Now I've got brights in the eyes. There we go, kiddo. You're good. You're good, kiddo. You're good. He's a pretty good kiddo. The corgis bring you moles. That's funny. Now, if I want to, I can take this walnut and I can use it to kind of line around my the strings over here, tying stuff to the pole. I could also take my purple in and do purple on these cords. It would let me repeat, since I have the teal there with the feathers, it would let me repeat the purple over here and also give us a flash of color on these strings. So let's do that. Let's just do that. Let's give our necromancer, you know, a liking for purple strings. He's a kitty. He likes strings. Yarn. It's purple yarn. All right, so I'm going to probably grab, not that purple. Not that purple. Well, actually, maybe that purple. No, I want something a little bit brighter. Where's my runic? There's my runic. Yeah, I think I want runic purple. Yeah. Yeah, Keekster doesn't even bark at squirrels. She just watches them. But she's like, that's out of reach. It's too much work. Kiki has a definite too much work ethic philosophy. Like, she is like a go, go, go girl, but if there's not an immediate reward, then she's a stop, stop, stop girl. Like, when the toy gets to be too much work, then it's time to just stop and not let it go so that she can sit on it and not run after it. So a little bit of purple strings, bringing those in. Again, because these areas are very small, we aren't seeing a lot of the color. I'm going to add a little wild violet to my runic purple because I did have some wild violet on the cat mage's clothing. But yeah. And then once we add a little bit of white to this purple and we put highlights on the yarn strings, then we'll see the color a little bit better. Mix my purple around here. Yeah, Keekster definitely has a threshold where it's like too much work. It instantly becomes too much work when it is at all warm outside. But I'm glad David takes her out in the morning because he has more energy than I do in the morning, and he runs her around. There's our little threads, and we'll go back here and grab some more details. Oh, and I need to throw some walnut in here. I have little bits where my paint did not penetrate. It is real. It is real, Tiffany. I've always wanted one of these. I've always wanted a folding screen. So when I started streaming, when I moved here, I decided I would like one as a backdrop, so I bought one. If you look up like Japanese folding screen and things like that, you can find one. Yeah, I like it. Decided to just get the plain one and not the one that's painted all over with cherry blossoms and stuff. But I've seen other streamers using this sort of backdrop too, so. So between this and my Overwatch statues, then on the bookshelf there is also where I keep all my models in progress. So they're easy to reach for. Uh-oh, I hear the puppy. The puppy is getting ornery out there. No, it's too early for the puppy to be ornery. She needs to settle down. I left her with her critical role, so she's got stuff to listen to. But she's definitely teething. Sometimes sometimes when she's chewing her bully stick, her mouth will hurt and she'll stop and she'll drop the bully stick and she'll bark at it. Like it's the fault of the bully stick that her mouth hurts. She's a silly puppy. But I'll have to see if there's an emote on my own channel that I can swap out for the new chibi version of the puppy. Like I said, I don't know if she's too complex to look good. I'll have to put her up and you guys can play with her and see. There we go. So adding a little bit of white just to the middle, white mixed with the purple, brings out the strings, makes their color more apparent. There we go. All right, I'm going to mix a lighter purple and do that on the front. I wish we could get this puppy cam going, but I feel like we're not going to have a puppy cam until, one, the puppy is older and can be in here without chewing on my computer wires, and two, when I actually get a new computer for streaming, since this one is not working with the powered hub as I had hoped it would. But right now the puppy is definitely at the eats everything stage. I'm surprised that almost all of our wedding guests managed to get away without actually being nommed on. Kiki doesn't have an Insta, no. I'm not a huge Insta fan, but we just got a chibi, one of my patrons did a chibi version of the puppy. Tiffany. So that's the chibi version of the puppy. And the actual version of the puppy, lately, what is my latest Kiki photo? There she is. There's my actual Kiki photo. With the lure in her mouth. You could actually see that she lost 2 of her little teeth there in this photo. So she's adorbs, but she does not have her own Instagram. No. Yeah, and here she is sitting up. So there's my pupper. So she is 4 months old and a handful. Totally a handful. Chewing on everything and everyone. And then this is the one I put on Facebook, where she's just plopped out and she has the lure in her mouth. She loves to play with her dog fishing pole. No, the ears will stay up. She had down ears. All of this breed have ears that are floppy at first, and then they, where is my baby Kiki photo? Hold on, I have a baby Kiki photo. So when the ears, she had funny ears. Here's the bad ear day, when they were just starting to go up. Yeah, the teepee ears. So the ears will stand up because she'll have shepherd ears. They'll be triangular and upright. But when she was a baby, they were definitely having a bad ear day. But yeah, so yeah, she'll be like that. Yeah, there's Keister with both ears down. The face. That was her at like 10 weeks, I think. But yeah, they've been up since she was about 13 weeks. And here's her brothers. Her brothers. They also, that was around that same age. So this brother's ears have gone up. I don't know if his will because they're very large. But yeah, they're very attractive puppies. They are cute. But yeah, Insta for me is like, because I don't naturally go over there all the time, it tends to be a bit of work. And so I haven't really, my own Instagram is miniatures rather than personal. Nope, just one. My past puppies, those other two were owned by friends of mine from the same litter. They're Kiki's brothers. No, I wouldn't get, I had 4 dogs before, and then after the last one of those passed, I waited about a year and a half, and then I got Kiki. But I did get 2 of those dogs, the previous dogs, close together when they were both puppies, and I would never do that again. I felt it was a really bad idea. It was hard to, they got very dependent on each other, and it was hard to train both of them separately because even one puppy is so much work. So yeah, I wouldn't do that again. Only 1 puppy. I'm actually really enjoying having just 1 puppy. Plus I'm older now. I don't have the energy for 2 puppies. But yeah, I know the people who got her litter mates, I keep in touch with a lot of them. One of them is a good friend of mine. So I can kind of, every once in a while, see pictures of her siblings growing up, which is really nice. But yeah, just 1 pet right now. I used to have 4 dogs and a cat back in, a while ago. That was just way too much. It was way too much. I was exhausted all the time trying to make sure everybody got all that they needed. So now I'm just really happy just having 1. We might get another when Kiki is a little older, but it'll be a few years. I don't know if I have another puppy in me. This one has taken a lot out of me. Yeah, I think a lot of people make the mistake of getting 2 puppies with thinking they'll entertain each other, and they will, but it'll be harder for you to get their attention and to train them, and it's a lot more work. And then if one puppy has kind of an issue that you have to address, like a behavior issue, it gets very difficult because getting that dog separate attention and then getting the other puppy separate attention gets to be a lot of work. Kiki got her last shots this week, including her rabies shot. So now, once we allow a few days for the immune system to kick in, we should be able to take her all over. Corgi number 3. Wow, you have much fortitude, Miss Dimp. That's a lot of corgi. That's exciting, though. Did you rescue or are you getting a puppy? Kiki heard me say puppy and made a noise. So I'm going to do just some rough wood grain on the staff here just to kind of bring out a little bit of texture. It's got kind of a knobby texture. Breeder, good. Excellent. Well, that's exciting then, huh? In 2 weeks, you have a baby. A cute. A tiny, furry cute. Very exciting. Okay, so a little bit of, you can see just the brush strokes, just rough brush strokes to kind of pick up the knobbiness of the staff texture. Oh, wow, they just missed Ian. Yeah, well, I'm glad they missed Ian. just going to get a little bit of highlights up here on the knobby parts of the staff, just to bring out those details. Do a little bit of touch here and there between the yarn threads. And let's do the back. And then I'm going to bring in one more highlight with the driftwood brown to really bring out a bit more texture. Yeah, I can't imagine having to go through a natural disaster raising a litter of puppies. Like, that's just, it's crazy talk, how much stress that would be. So I'm glad they didn't get hit with the hurricane. Because raising a litter of puppies is stressful enough. It's enough work without having to deal with an onrushing hurricane. Yeah, nice. Yeah, we did okay. We did our puppy proofing, you know, about a week before Keeks came home. Our place is pretty, we keep our place pretty clean as far as like stuff isn't on the floor and things like that. So we had to move the plants up out of puppy reach. Yeah, Kiki is, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with puppy class. We have a few classes left to use up that we bought. They kind of sell packages. But I don't know if I want to just use them for like play date type of classes or if I want to do actual training with her. I just feel like her attention span right now, like there's no way I'm going to keep her attention through an entire 50-minute class. There's just no way. She is a total flibberty-gibbet, and she's going to want to play with the other dogs. So I feel like organized classes are good for proofing, but I feel like I really need to work with her on obedience as her brain gets more mature here at home and in the neighborhood before I go and do a class. There we go. Oh, British litter names. Cute. Very cute. British corgis. All right, I'm going to get the driftwood brown out, which is a lighter brown and yellower, as we discussed earlier. And I'm going to do even a little bit finer brush strokes to bring out parts of the staff. And then I'm going to kind of assess whether I need to like take some parts back if the staff has gotten too light. Because it definitely could get too light. We don't want all of our colors to be the same level. We want some darks and some lights. So do you know which one you're going to get, Miss Imp, or do they do like temperament testing for placements? Just going to bring in a little bit more highlights. Here and there. To bring out little tiny details. I think I'm going to grab a little bit of my walnut, darken down some areas. I want to make sure that some undersides and everything stay dark, especially with the dramatic shadows that we have on the front of our Necromeouncer. Deposit gets first pick. Got it. Yep. Yeah. That's pretty standard. Fingers crossed that you get the right dog for you then. I don't know what I'd do without the temperament testing now. I'm so spoiled. Like, I just can't go to any other breed unless I find a breeder who does the kind of placement stuff we do. Pembroke, okay. Pembroke, yeah. It's, yeah, Cardigan or Pembroke. Both of them are Welsh, I believe. Am I wrong? Corgis are not my specialty. Shepherds are my specialty. See, I like the Cardigan, but that's just me. I like the tail. Although, knowing how bratty Corgis can be, I don't know that they're my breed. Although I have a very bratty puppy in the other room right now, so who knows? Maybe brattiness will grow on me. Just putting a little bit of highlights here to bring out the wood grain a little bit more. Oh, card Pem. Oh, nice. Is the lack of tail dominant or recessive? So do all these have tails, or is it a mix? I don't remember if it's if the bobtail is a dominant. Yeah, I like the idea of that mix. It's pretty cool. Gets you a little bit more genetic diversity, hopefully. All right, just a little bit more. I like to add little touches of this light. I don't want to add a lot of driftwood. If I add a lot of driftwood, I'm going to lose the dark color of the staff. And everything will start looking lighter. So when you're adding your final highlight, remember to keep it small. Autosomal dominant. All right. Cool. I gotta ask my genetics questions because I'm a genetics nerd. Cool, cool, cool. Well, awesome. Hopefully pictures of your new baby will show up on a Discord somewhere where I can see them. What's your favorite color? Like they come in, I mean, Merle and tricolor and sable, right? Like Shelties do? Or does this litter have a particular, like, colors? Yeah, when you've got a breed, I mean, when you've got when the bobtail is a dominant, obviously if a dog doesn't have it, the dog doesn't have it to pass on to their kids. So Cardigans, unless crossbred, would not have that gene because they're bred to have tails. If both parents have tails, that's all they have to pass on. Blue Merle is your favorite. Interesting. I always liked the tricolor. Oh, I hear a puppy getting uppity in the background. Uppity puppity. What are you doing back there? I probably should check on her. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Oh, blonde sable saddle. Oh, cool. Wow. Hold on. Now I'm hearing crying. 1 second, guys. Let me check on the pup. Papa, what's up? What are you doing? You being okay? Yeah? You being okay? Hi. Hi, you a good girl? Hi, good girl. Hi, good girl. Oh, you fell over. Oh, you fell over, Pa. You did, yes. Okay, I was just checking on you, okay? I want you to be a good girl. Yeah, I want you to be a good girl and just have a little bit more to wait, okay? Just a little bit. Just 10 more minutes, all right? Be right back. Sorry, there were weird, suspicious noises, and when there are weird, suspicious noises, I have to check. Oh, interesting. So you don't have, Pembrokes don't have Merle. Interesting. Oh no! Now we're gonna get the sad howls, everybody. Sorry. I promise I haven't left you forever. The Kiki howls. Yeah, yeah. She just wants out. She's like, I am bored and I don't want my critical role and I don't want a nap. I want to go out. That's fine. You guys like the cute howls, so we'll keep the cute howler. When I walked in, she fell over. I had a broken puppy. And now she's going to try to, like, open the door by banging it. Papa, settle. Yes, Mom, why you leave? That is entirely. She's like, I thought I was going to get out. But Kiki, I'm still talking to people. Squeaky Kiki now. We have Squeaky Kiki. We have achieved. Achieved the Squeaky Kiki. And I'm going to just highlight a bit since I've got these colors. I'm going to highlight a bit of that leather edge to bring it out. Our model's looking a lot more finished. Yeah, there are unfortunately too many disreputable breeders in the world. They're like, I can do this, and it'll be rare, quote unquote. Yeah, I mean, if that's just what they like to breed, like if that's like, hey, we do it this way because we really like the kind of pups that we get, then fair, you know. I mean, as long as their puppy people are happy and you guys get a good pup out of it, then might even right. It's just a little bit more genetics, right? I don't know how closely related the Cardigan and Pembroke are. I haven't looked at any studies on that as far as the DNA. I don't know if there are any studies on that. You think somebody would have done one. But yeah, it at least gives you a little bit more. How long ago did they split off, or were they always separate from breed creation? Do you know, Miss Dim? Hey, Azed. Good. I'm glad you got better internet. Oh, yeah. So a lot of genetic drift can happen in 90 years. That's a lot longer than our breed has been in existence. Shilohs weren't officially recognized by the American Rare Breed Association until 1991. So we are much younger. But yeah, a lot of, I mean, we see a lot of drift even. Yeah, these days, any smart breeder is going to be willing to ship Seaman Gibson. I think if you really want diversity, we end up doing a lot of shipping. Or import. A lot of smart breeders who don't ship will just flat out import a dog from a different country to get more diverse genetics. Yeah, back in the 90s, yep. Fairies being mischievous, I can see why they would ride bratty corgis. Seems like those two things go together. Yeah, I might have to go looking now to see if there are any studies on how different genetically the Pembroke and Cardigan Welsh Corgis are. A little bit of highlight there. Gibson, I don't believe you own corgis if you don't think they're bratty. Every corgi owner I have ever met admits that their dogs are perfect brats. It's kind of what the breed, like that mischievous kind of, are you going to make me? It's kind of part of the corgi breed. Yeah, exactly, Miss Stamp. Yep. And that's what we run into too with our breed is the German Shepherd people absolutely hate us. They loathe us. They say very bad things about us. There are a few that don't, but you know, in general, because they don't like what we're doing. It makes it very hard to find our outcrosses because reputable breeders like often won't want to endanger their reputation by letting us use one of their dogs. Makes it really hard to find a good outcross. He's only a bred brat, huh? Yeah, I don't know. I just wish. The problem with the AKC mindset is like that genetic purity is just slowly killing breeds. Except for a few. Like there are a few breeds. Like I think golden retrievers are supposed to have incredible diversity across the globe. But a lot of breeds are suffering. There we go, guys. We've got some of our leather in there. I haven't quite done the paws. I've got a 5 minutes or so. Yeah, we'll see how our outcrossing goes in the future. We actually just completed our final third outcross for this segment of time. We'll see if there are puppies. I hope so. We've got the Treviran, and then we've got Kiki's line, and then we've got Sarplananak, although it's not how you actually say it, pronounce it, but big flock guardian breed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, AKC, though, is not going to do the right thing. And I mean, to be fair, the problem is also in the breeding community, as long as there's an attitude that the purebred, you know, is better and that anything else is a mutt, it's the AKC could try to make a change, but the breed clubs would all resist it. So it's kind of a problem with the culture itself. It's very hard to change that sort of thing. Like, people are very invested in what they believe, as you all know, I'm sure. So I don't know that there is a way to change the AKC. Like, I honestly, I think it would take like having a completely different organization essentially trump the AKC. Like the UKC, which is also an old all breed registry here in the States, is allowing outcrossing with parameters now for its purebreds. So we'll see how that goes. Like, and only with even they aren't open-minded enough to allow it for every breed. But there are some breeds allowed to do it. All right, got our little paw things there. Oh, yuck, missed him. That's terrible. Yeah, that's awful. Ugh. Stupid AKC. Anyway, let's just move on. I could go on and on and on. But yeah, that's terrible. All right, I'm going to just touch up a little bit on this. I need to get the highlights on this bracer a little bit nicer. So I'm just kind of touching that up, bringing that in, doing a little bit of a blend. Yeah, we can get, because people get passionate. Yes, time to change the subject. Yeah, agreed. But anyway, congrats on your new pupper. I hope they are a little furry bundle of bratty joy. All right, there we go. Got our highlights on our bracers, got our wood, got our feet bracers. There we go. But that's okay. We're at the end of the stream, more or less, and I've gotten my leather in there. We have eyeballs, we have leather, we have staff and wood. I didn't do the highlights on the front. I need to do that really quick. And oh, I did do some of the highlights on the front, but not everything. There we go. Excellent. Yes, please, please do. I would love to have some baby pics in the cute animals channel in my Discord. That would be awesome. Whew. So yeah, so we've almost got our kitty painted, and then it will be time to put the kitty on the base. And I need to figure out if I'm going to pop the kitty on top of the base and make this top area higher, or if I'm going to carve down into this and kind of embed it. I'm playing with the idea of adding like levels to this, so it's not just like I want almost multiple slabs of stone leading down here. So I might end up doing some of that with green stuff, or I might steal some of David's wood putty to do it, because it'll dry a lot harder. And if so, I can just use this mini's base and kind of put it up here and use it as its own kind of like flagstone, because it's kind of what it's carved like. So I'm still debating. The mini does fit just barely onto this. So yeah, still debating. And I do need to do some green stuff work, because when I put the undead kitty in there, obviously I need to do some fill. You can see the kitty is on flagstones as well. and I will need to sculpt in around the kitty. So yeah, I might be adding a lot of like flat stones, flat paving type stones to break up the space even further. So yeah, we'll work with it as we have it. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow, Friday, we are back to the Ghost Walker, and we had just done a lot of her leather, so we probably are going to end up doing a bit of the NMM tomorrow. Maybe figure out what color her gemstones will be, and just kind of like doing some refinement here. So yeah, and don't forget to come back for Josh at 2 p.m. Yawning. Oh, stretch. I feel like I need a nap. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And Quindy, as always, thanks for running the show. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye-bye.